Wide open Torrence. Oh, baby, touchdown. How do you leave the best receiver in the NAIA that wide open?
You shoot, and that's what we do. Cash.
You're proud of me?
And it's caught! Oh my goodness! Troy Torrence comes down with it!
Welcome all to NFL Bankroll Blitz right here on Pub Sports Radio, our conference finals edition. And I am joined alongside, as always, by my co-host, Troy Torrence. Troy, as the nuke worker is saying in the chat, here we go. Just 3 games left. Let's get down to business. Just 3 games left in this season. How are you, my friend?
You know, I'd be doing a lot better if we had a full season ahead of us. A full season is what I would need at this point to make me feel better about how this season has ended. I mean, it's probably the most pressed I've ever been in terms of just my psychology in this game. And it's not just because of the variance or, you know, the 47 units, 40 whatever units that I've blown off in the past 6 weeks, but it's also, it's more so just those big, a lot of, you know, I'm not going to get lost in the sauce right now. It's just been a tough spot for me recently. And yeah, I mean, you got to persist, and I will.
I know you will. I'm thankful for every opportunity that we get to cap the games together and with our friends in the chat. Jacqueline, it is great to see you. I know it's been a tough time for your family over the last little while. We are thinking of you guys and sending you love and energy and strength. And thank you for joining us here in the chat. We have the nuke worker, Mozenia, Man, Bear, Pig. We have AM in the house. AM says, these lines this week are sharp. They are, but I feel ready to attack. I've made 2 bets in the NFC Championship game. I also have hedging to do, which we will discuss in that game. I am interested in a couple different spots in New England, Denver, but wanted to talk it out before moves are made. Thank you guys for joining us. The playoffs have been a nightmare for me. So I'm coming in off of yet another rough week. And now the units under double digits. It's ugly. Now this can all change very, very quickly with my futures. And we'll see if that happens. I'm going into everything pretty confident here. But it was a rough week for me, unfortunately. And I've had very low volume because my futures have been just constantly getting in the way of my action. But the week started, my first bets were Houston, New England, first half under, full game under. You know, when I was reviewing what happened in that game, seeing the lack of offense from both sides, 3.3 yards per play by the Texans. I believe it was 3.3 for the Texans, 3.9 for the Patriots.
Correct.
Just appalling that I didn't catch.
32% success rate, both teams. Insane not to cash that. Insane.
The 8 turnovers. Now, I did bet live on the under 53.5 and live on, well, first on the under 47.5, then on the under 53.5, which both cashed, but that doesn't make the pain go away or even get me to the black on that game. So that was rough. Bills plus 2.5, and then I had the Bills plus 2.5 with the Rams money line at plus 176. And I was going to, out of anger, and that's why I didn't. I was going to add then the Rams Patriots, which I didn't. And then Rams minus 3.5, Rams double result, loss. And my only casher was on the Rams Bears first half under 24. Minus 115. You know, when Caleb Williams was running backwards, I was counting my cash. It's funny how that happens. It was about 3 or 4 seconds where I was like, oh, I got it. I did it. I've got it. And then, no, I don't have it.
Unbelievable play.
So back-to-back rough weeks. And I'm ready to attack.
Back rough weeks. God, you're blessed.
We got Nasty Nate in the house. He's in my head when I'm capping Patriots-Broncos, which is a good thing, not a bad thing. Uncle Eddie, Wager Detective, thank you guys for being here. Troy, touch on the week that was, and then let's move forward.
So, I had the Bills first half money line, Bills +1, Bills money line. Didn't win. James Cook over 75.5 was an easy winner. My handicap was absolutely spot on in that game. It just didn't come to fruition. Seahawks -7, Seahawks Bills +7.5 were both winners. I doubled up on the overs, over 23 and over 45 in that game. Both were winners. Texans +3, Texans first half, Texans first quarter, which one of these is supposed to say first quarter. I have it first half on my list, but I had first quarter, first half. I tripled up on the Texans, and I had the money line. So 4 bets on the Texans. That was a losing bet. Bears +4, Bears money line, Bears Texans teaser. I only cashed the spread. A rough week. Another one. And I'm ready to get to this week.
I'm ready to get to it as well. My feelings have changed a little bit on the Bills game. And, I know that cash is comfortably if Maxwell Hairston is on the field, and I still blame McDermott for him not being on the field. But I have now started to blame Josh Allen. I didn't at all until the last maybe 24 hours. I went over a few of those plays where he was just missing the target. And he's still a great quarterback, but he certainly did not play great in that football game.
Well, he threw a game-winning pass that was called an interception.
Yeah, but
he also coughed the ball up right before half. That completely changed the dynamic of the game, which is unacceptable. Unacceptable.
He missed a couple key receivers, and he still is so spectacular that he still almost pulled it out of the fire. But I have changed a little bit here. It is time to get to work. Thank you guys for joining us. We got big show picks in the house. Just before we get to our action, really excited. We're all really excited. Locker Room Talk podcast is back. The new episode is out, premiered at 6 p.m. Eastern. They're going to be taking the 8 p.m. time slot, I believe, moving forward, as this may be our last Bankroll Blitz of the season. We're still going to figure out exactly what we're going to do for the Super Bowl. But thank you guys for joining us, and shout out to Big Show and the Locker Room Talk podcast. We got 40 Kid in the house, Luca Rance, Dougie Wise, Ken Mizrahi. Let's get to work. We start Sunday, January 25th. So we are moving back to our NFL Pub Hub on Sundays. It will take place at 1 p.m. Eastern on Sunday, NFL Pub Hub Conference Champion Edition. We have the New England Patriots 14-3, 8-0 on the road to the Denver Broncos 14-3, 8-1 at home. We're at Empower Field at Mile High, Denver, Colorado. 26 Fahrenheit, partly sunny, 2 mile per hour winds. I find both these games absolutely riveting. I find them so interesting. And let's start here with Patriots Broncos on the side. This opened up at 7:06 p.m. at 5.5. At this point, right away, we knew what was going on with Bo Nix. We knew that Jarrett Stidham would be at quarterback. And the look-ahead line was Broncos -1.5. And now it's down to a 4.5, which is still a 6-point swing for Stidham. And I don't want the fact that that's way too many points just to immediately get me to bet the Broncos.
Wait, Jimmy, what were you saying? Say that again. You said that you got the open, the look ahead was -1.5 Broncos.
Yes.
So it's not a 6-point swing, right?
It's a 6-point swing because the Broncos are now +4.5. It was a 7-point.
What am I talking about, man?
So I didn't want we all agree that that's too many points for the quarterback switch. But that doesn't mean I have to bet the Broncos. And that's the battle I faced for the last 24 hours. That it's okay to agree that that's too many points and not necessarily move on the Broncos. Because my first instinct is, I got to bet the Broncos. That's too many points. That doesn't make sense.
I thought I was going to do the same exact thing. But I'm going to make a case that this is not enough of a line move.
And I can't wait to talk about all of this. This total is 42. I said this opened up at 41, dropped to 40.5, and I told everybody on our live stream that 40.5 is too low, that the over should be bet. I've got cold feet on the over now, but the books followed suit. This move to a 42. So let's roll here. We're going to start with the Patriots statistical profile, discuss the Patriots, and then we're going to do that same thing with the Broncos. We have 60% of the tickets and 66% of the cash at this point on the Patriots. Circa's hanging a 4.5. South Point's a flat 5. FanDuel and DraftKings are a 5.5. DraftKings and FanDuel are also 42.5s. Hard Rock a 42.5. The other books are flat 42s. 54% of the tickets are on the under, and 66% of the cash is on the over. For the Patriots, passing offense ranked 5th, rushing offense 19th, red zone offense ranked 22nd. They only score touchdowns 55.2% of the time. It's been something that we've talked about all season long. We're also talking about a red zone defense for the Broncos that's ranked 2nd in the league. They only allow touchdowns 44.2% of the time, although their defense has looked a little worse in the second half of the season. We'll get into all of that. The third down offense for the New England Patriots ranked 10th at 41.3%. This pass defense for the Patriots has blossomed. Now ranked 2nd overall in the football league. It's been excellent. Rush defense ranked 16th. We have the 23rd ranked red zone defense here at 60.9% of the time they're allowing touchdowns. Third down defense ranked 11th, 37.4%. Pass rush ranked 16th. And special teams ranked 22nd. The Patriots are back in the AFC Championship for the first time in 7 years. They come in off yet another thorough victory. They're 15th in 16 games, defeating the Texans 28-16. Noise-canceled score was 19-16 Patriots. Drake May was 16-27 for 179 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. He ran 4 times for 10 yards. He fumbled the ball 4 times. He was fortunate to only lose 2 of them. Kayshon Boutte is showing what a clutch receiver he is. He led receivers with 3 catches for 75 yards and a touchdown. Stephon Diggs caught 4 passes for 40 yards. Drake May goes deep. He stretches defenses. And it's very different from what we've seen from the Broncos, Bo Nix, and we'll see. Stidham hasn't thrown a pass for the Broncos in 2 seasons, so we'll have to see what he does. But Drake May is one of the highest deep throw rates at 12.5%, which is very different than what we've seen from the Broncos all year. Ramondre Stevenson ran 16 times for 70 yards. The offense was just 3 of 14 on third down and cashed their only red zone opportunity. The Patriots average is 3.9 yards per play. The offense hasn't looked that strong, but through 2 rounds of the playoffs, the defense has looked excellent. Patriots have allowed just 19 points combined to the Chargers and Texans, held the Texans to 3.3 yards per play. Pass rush finished with 3 sacks, 9 quarterback hits, and a secondary, which we talked about, now ranked 2nd overall in the league, picked C.J. Stroud off 4 times. Carlton Davis had 2. Marcus Jones had 1. Craig Woodson also had 1. Marcus Jones returned his to the house. Patriots defense held the Texans to just 1 of 4 in the red zone. And this has been a tough number for football teams to cover. This season, favorites between -4 and -4.5 are 4 and 15 against the spread. And how good is this Patriots defense? Because they've allowed very few points over the last few games. They haven't allowed more than 16 points to any of their last 4 opponents. But they're ranked just 23rd in DVOA. The Patriots' run defense was terrible down the stretch, but it's gotten a big boost with the return of Milton Williams and Kiris Tonga, and we saw that. We saw that last week. Let's talk about these Denver Broncos. Passing offense ranked 11th, rushing offense ranked 18th, red zone offense 20th, and third down offense ranked 8th. Obviously, it's a different profile with Stidham at quarterback. Pass defense ranked 8th, rush defense 5th, red zone defense is 2nd, as we talked about already. Third down defense ranked 6th. They allow conversions just 35.7% of the time. Their pass rush ranked 8th. Their special teams ranked 20th. So as the difference in the NFC conference finals, where we have a real special teams advantage for the Seahawks over the Rams, there's no advantage here for special teams for either side. Broncos coming off a wild 33-30 overtime victory at home over the Bills, and the win proved very costly. They lost starting quarterback Bo Nix to a broken ankle that requires surgery. He's done for the season. And Stidham will be a quarterback. He's appeared in 20 games in 6 NFL seasons. He started just 4. He won 1 of them. He has thrown for at least 219 yards and 1 touchdown all 4 of his career starts. And his teams have put up at least 13 points in all of them. The last time we saw Stidham playing significant time was week 17 and 18 of 2023. In those two games, the Broncos put up 299.5 total yards, ranked 22nd in success rate at 40.9%, and averaged 15 points. We already discussed how conservative this pass attack has been. That's why the 6-point swing with Stidham, I don't agree with. This is a Denver team that has an average of 6.4 yards per attempt. It's 29th in the NFL. And we know he will be protected. And I want to get into that a little more down when we talk about whether or not Luke Wattenberg will be his center for this game. But he will be protected. The Broncos offensive line is good, despite the fact that we could have a third stringer at center, or we could have a top 10 center in the NFL. We'll find that out. I'll have a better idea really tomorrow here. The Rams and the Broncos were tied for allowing the fewest sacks this year. They allowed just 23. Since 2003, quarterbacks in their playoff debut are 29 and 47 against the spread, 38% cover rate. The problem is the Broncos struggled to run the ball. So Nick's ability to scramble was part of their success on the ground, which, now the pressure would be on RJ Harvey. But will it be? Because J.K. Dobbins is designated for return. Their rushing attack fell off when Dobbins went down in week 10. And he has been designated to return. RJ Harvey's averaged 3.4 yards per carry on 102 attempts since week 10. Then I've talked about this. So is Luke Wattenberg going to come off the IR? The replacement for Wattenberg, Forsyth, is dealing with an ankle injury. He had to leave the game. Wattenberg is so important to this game. He signed a 4-year, $48 million extension on November 25th. He is a very good center. Forsyth helped when he came in. Forsyth started 4 games for the Broncos at center with Wattenberg out with the ankle injury. Wattenberg has a 70.9 overall grade from Pro Football Focus this season, puts him 9th among 40 eligible players at his position. When he got hurt in week 16, he had played every single offensive snap for the Denver Broncos, 1,005 of them. If Wattenberg is in, the Broncos are much more appealing. If Wattenberg is out, there's no chance I'm going to have a cent on the Broncos. I need Stidham to be protected if I'm going to even think about trying to get in the way of a Patriots team that's won 15 of 16. The Bills outgained the Broncos 449 to 349. The noise canceled score was 29-29. Bo Nix was 26 of 46 for 279 yards, 3 touchdowns, 20 receptions. He also led the Broncos in rushing with 12 carries for 29 yards. We watched Mims have a huge game, 8 catches for 93 yards, touchdown. Sutton caught 4 for 53. Harvey ran 6 times for 20 yards. He caught 5 for 46. Broncos were 8 of 16 on third down, but just 1 of 4 in the red zone. And the defense struggled mightily to contain the Bills. Bills averaged 5.8 yards per play, went 10 of 15 on third down. Pass rush did put up 3 sacks and 10 quarterback hits. Locke and McMillan each had interceptions. Pat Bryant sustained a concussion. He's in concussion protocol. Troy Franklin pulled a hamstring. They've already brought one receiver up, Jones, up from the practice squad. And, they don't expect either to play here. The Broncos are 4-0 historically versus the Patriots at home in the playoffs. Take it away for us here, Troy Torrence. Even though I said the over 40.5 should be bet, it's too low, I have begun to have interest in the under. I'm curious to see how high it goes. And again, the whole idea of backing the Broncos, it has to have Wattenberg at center. Wattenberg, has to have Wattenberg at center. If Wattenberg is not at center, I won't move on them. And if I do move on them, I find the Broncos much more appealing in the first half of this football game. I think that the longer the game goes on, the more you will see why Stidham has not been a starting quarterback in the NFL. Take it away for us here, Troy Torrence, our AFC conference final.
Man, I really like where you took that. I think that's the right way to look at this game. I mean, Denver, if I was going to play Denver, it would only be in the first half. I think that would make sense, where you have some type of script where the coaching is going to be way more prevalent and predictable. And there's a definite reason why Stidham has not played a lot of snaps in the NFL. And I want to touch on both these games here because, I was a little bit frustrated watching these two games because I faded these two teams in the last round. incorrectly. The Broncos, I feel like the NFL gave them the nod to get to advance to the next round. And I can't explain why necessarily. I mean, the noise cancel score was 29-29. I was shocked to see that. I think that's way too generous given the underlying numbers. So the Broncos had a 45% success rate against this Bills team. The Bills posted a 53%. The Broncos had 6 drives in scoring range. The Bills had 8. The Broncos 5.1 yards per play. The Bills 5.8 yards per play. The Broncos went 50% on third down. The Bills 67%. The Broncos had 3.2 yards per carry against a bottom 5 run D. The Bills put up a 5.1 yards per carry. The Broncos were 1 for 4 in the red zone. The Bills were 3 of 5 in the red zone. I mean, if it weren't for that fumble, and it wasn't like a strip sack or something like a Tillman punch, the Bills were up 7-3, marching the ball into the red zone, and they got blessed with a random fumble. And then Josh Allen gives them 3 before half. And the most egregious catch that just shocked me to my core. They called that last play in overtime that the Bills made. The last play of the Bills season offensively was a catch that was ruled an interception. They spent no time reviewing it. I mean, that play alone tells me that the NFL is an entertainment business. It's not truly a league of competitors when you have calls like that. And then you watch a day later and it's going the opposite way. An exact same situation, almost a replica situation, goes the exact opposite way. And that's not even counting the bullshit partisan pass interference calls that the Broncos got in that game and the Bills did not get in that game. The Broncos do not deserve to be here. And I turn around, I look at the Patriots, and I feel like, I mean, does any team in the NFL history have an easier path than the Patriots did this season to get to the Super Bowl? I mean, if the Texans got bad quarterback play instead of terrible quarterback play, they had a chance to win that game outright. And, I knew what I was getting myself into, and I was putting my money down after what we've seen in the first round against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, I knew I was getting myself into. So I feel a lot less, beat. I feel like the Bills was a bad beat. I feel like I got what I was asking for in the Texans-Patriots game. But you look at that game, I mean, I posted, like we were talking about before we started breaking this game down, both teams posted a 32% success rate. The Patriots had 3 drives in scoring range. The Texans had 6. The Patriots 3.9 yards per play to 3.3. Texans were slightly better on third down. It was really the turnovers, right? Patriots 3 turnovers, Texans 5 turnovers. But the difference in this game, really, when you look at a team like the Texans, when they start falling behind and they're on the road, it's hard for a team like the Texans with that type of offense to get back into a game. I mean, the Patriots' first touchdown was a 4th and 2. He threw a pass over the middle. Drake May made a bad read, threw a pass to a hot read slant. They brought a cover 0 blitz, and the pass was tipped. It was perfectly defended. He made the wrong read. He should have threw it to the outside receiver, and he got blessed. Tip pass, bounces right into his face mask, right down into his hands, and he runs it for 6. After that, I mean, and still, the Texans were able to regain the lead, go up 10-7, and then they run on first down. They get the ball back. They're up 10-7. They run a play action. The arrow route falls on his face, and CJ Stroud panics and throws a ball up for grabs that gets taken back to the house, pick 6. What I'm trying to say is, in my opinion, neither of these teams deserve to be here, especially a Broncos team without Bo Nix, who actually, I talk a lot of shit about Bo Nix. I have a lot of problems with the way he plays in the pocket, but when push comes to shove, he's able to drive the ball down the field and score touchdowns. And Drake May, this Patriots team finally plays 2 good defenses, and they fall flat on their face. Drake May, 6 fumbles, 2 picks in the wild card and divisional round. And I know the Broncos are nowhere near the caliber of the Texans defense, but I think they're pretty congruent with the Chargers. And I know they don't play the same coverage, but they do, like, numerically fall into very similar type of defenses. And Drake May was significantly better against the Chargers than he was the Texans. He had 6.0 yards per play, 5 yards per carry they posted in that game. He struggled early, but he relied on his mobility. And as the game went on, you could tell he was getting more comfortable in the pocket. And he had some big-time throws down the stretch that flipped that game on its head and really put the Chargers completely out of reach. Oh, man. And the crazy thing about looking at the numbers, for Drake May in the first 2 games against 2 good defenses, another good defense he's going to be seeing here in the Broncos, is he was only under pressure on 30% of his dropbacks. That's lower than his season average. In the regular season, it was like 35, 36%. 30% of his dropbacks, and this is the numbers he posted. And I know he was playing 2 really good defenses, but and really a lot very different defenses than what he's going to see in the Broncos, because the Broncos are doing completely different scheme than what Drake May seen in the first 2 games. First 2 games, all zone pressure with 4. The Chargers might throw in a rare blitz, so will the Texans, but the Broncos are completely different. You're going to see man coverage, and you're going to see a lot of blitz. First, Josh Allen, the Broncos blitzed 48% of the time, but they only generated a 41% pressure rate. Now, I know there's a lot more holes on this Patriots offensive line than there is on the Bills offensive line, but still, that number stuck out to me because we talk about this team that's like 3rd in the history of sacks. They blitz 48% of the time, but only pressure 41%. I mean, that's shocking. And it looked like Josh Allen was very comfortable in the pocket. It didn't look like he was under a lot of pressure. So that number rings true in my opinion. And honestly, Drake May, this shocked me. And this makes me want to go back and watch some tape on Drake May and what he put together in the first 2 games, because he's number 1 in the playoff against the blitz. 133 passer rating, 11.3 yards per attempt, 2 touchdowns, no picks, only 1 turnover-worthy play. So he's been putting up really good numbers against the blitz. So if the Broncos want to bring the blitz, I think they might regret it. And Drake May definitely has the mobility if you're going to leave a lane. Now, the Broncos are pretty good at containing the quarterback when they do blitz. But Drake May's been able to do it to other teams that do this are very similar, like the Bills. The Bills are very good at containing mobile quarterbacks, and Drake May was able to beat it. And I do believe that this matchup is setting up for Drake May to have his best game of the postseason. The question becomes, will the Patriots be able to run the football? It was very easy for Josh Allen and the Bills to work on offense because they were able to run the ball so effectively. They allowed the Bills to run it for 5.1 yards per carry. And that 5.1 yards per carry includes 6 or 7 quarterback sneaks that resulted in 1 to 3 yards. And I talked about this last week. The Colts ran it for 165 yards. Taylor had 6.6 yards per carry. The Packers had 5.8 yards per carry. They don't have a mobile quarterback situation. I think the Patriots will find enough success on the ground, enough to relieve the pressure on Drake May. And I look at the Broncos defense, and I've talked quite a bit of shit about this defense throughout the season because they posted some ridiculous, off the charts outlier numbers last season. It's only right that you're going to come back down to earth when you're putting up numbers like that. And I've talked about this every week too. The Jaguars, the Packers, the Cowboys, the Colts, the Bills, all those teams. I mean, they averaged 30 points against this Broncos defense. So the good offenses they've seen, they got beat. And the Patriots, per PFF, have a top 5 offense with a good pass blocking offensive line. They don't find a lot of success on the ground. But I think the Patriots will find enough success in this game, especially consider when you flip the equation, you look at Stidham on the other side. I mean, his only win as a starter came in a meaningless game against Easton Stick and the Chargers. Every other game where he's had a passing attempt resulted in a loss. He hasn't had a passing attempt since 2023 in an NFL football game. He's never played any type of meaningful football in the NFL, as far as I could tell. He's not considered a mobile quarterback, which is a huge element of this Broncos offense. I don't find anything to get excited about. And then you look at their running game. Okay, well, he might have some backup. He might be able to rely on and handing the football off and getting some yards that way. But they only posted 3.2 yards per carry against the Bills. We have a bottom 5 run defense. I mean, then you look at their matchup against the Chargers backups, 3.7 yards per carry. And half of that production came from Bo Nix. RJ Harvey in that game, 15 carries, 28 yards. Chargers backups. How about the Chiefs? I mean, 4.0 yards per carry is pretty good. But again, Bo Nix accounted for half of that yardage, a large portion of that success. And RJ Harvey in that game, 14 carries, 43 yards, 3 yards per carry. And the Patriots run D has been up and down, but it has been more spot solid, especially when they're playing incompetent quarterbacks. They can sneak a safety down into the box, play 8 in the box. I do not find the Broncos appealing. I originally thought I'd be on the Broncos 80, 90% of the time when I first looked at this matchup, first looked at this market, and especially looking at the 5.5, which to me was very appealing. You start peeling back the layers, there's no chance. There's no chance I'm going to be able to do that. I trust Drake May. This offense against this man blitz type of scheme to put up between 20 and 28 points. And I just simply cannot make a case for the Broncos offense and with Stidham at the helm. I feel like Vrabel will easily be able to generate a scheme to handcuff this offense. I'm on the Patriots. It was -4.5 at BOL. I bought it down to -4, -120, and I got the Patriots +1.5, Rams +8.5 teaser.
Patriots +1.5, Rams +8.5. I think it's a quality breakdown, and it makes sense because
Jimmy, I'm not exaggerating when I said, and I was texting. I have people that could confirm. I wanted to be on the Broncos. I thought I would be on the Broncos in this game.
Well, I get it because the 6 points is just it's wrong. The 6 points is not. We watched Bo Nix play okay this year. The people that watch him, closely, the Broncos fans, they have nothing but negative things to say about what he's done this year. And I don't think that Stidham is a 6 point difference. So that immediately would gravitate us towards the Broncos, and then you dive deeper and it's very easy to question that. Both these teams, you can question their 14-3 records. It's much easier to question the Broncos team right now with Stidham at quarterback than it is, with the Patriots here. Let's touch on this total though, Troy. It's gone up to from 40. It went 41 to 40.5 up to 42. Do you agree with this move? Now it's at 42.5 at some books. Do you agree with that move to the over?
I struggle with the total just because I think it's too high based on my what I believe we're going to see from Stidham. So I don't know what I would do with this total. This total usually plays to the over. Usually in this price range, I want to bet overs because, one turnover, one special teams play, and it could easily go over.
So Dougie White says everyone going to be on the under. Over is the play. We talked about how the number was way too low at 40.5. And with these games, unlike when we're prepping for 16 games, I get time to sit with them for longer and hear what other people think. It was 9-1 on the over in articles out there in the world. Everybody on the over thinking this is too low of a number, especially with what we've seen, from the Broncos defense in the second half of the year. This is going to need more time for me. I think so would you say the most important part of this whole cap to you is that Jarrett Stidham is there's a reason why he is a backup. There's a reason why, even though Peyton called him 1A in the preseason, both last 2 years, there's a reason why he's a backup. There's a reason why he hasn't gotten any run. So you think the most glaring part of this cap is that Stidham is a problem and he's going to bring this team down, where I still think the most glaring part of this cap is that it should not be a 6 point difference from Nix to Stidham. Is that fair to say that your first most important angle of this game is that Stidham, there's a reason why he's a backup. There's a reason why no team make him a starting quarterback, 29 years old, and that he is a glaring issue here?
I think he's a glaring issue. I mean, his first meaningful football game in years. He hasn't posted above an 85, I believe, passer rating in his NFL career. And I know this Broncos offense is pretty stale. They need Bo Nix magic to generate offense. And I don't think Stidham is going to be able to replicate anywhere close to what Bo Nix did. It's hard to make a case that any quarterback is worth 6 points more than their backup, but this might be one of those cases in this situation, being in the playoffs.
What do you expect finally is the Patriots offense against the Broncos defense?
It's hard to make a case for the Patriots offense. It really is. But when you look at what the Patriots have done, like maybe this isn't where I should go, but this is what that question made me think of. You look at like both these teams, I've talked shit about their strength of schedule and their resume all season long. And the difference is when the Broncos have gotten these weak football teams, they're fighting tooth and nail to pull out a win and to have any success on offense. Whereas the Patriots, when they play these weak ass football teams, they pound them. I expect Drake May to make plays. I do believe that he put up an MVP season. His last 2 weeks doesn't say MVP. This is his chance to get back in the driver's seat. I feel like he's going to make enough plays, especially we know this team puts together explosive offensive plays, and they continue to do it. So we'll need to see some of that versus Broncos team that's going to be playing man coverage.
We haven't seen the Patriots on the road since they beat the Ravens. I mean, I don't count the Jets game. So this is a team that was, playing a lot of home games and then here again in the playoffs, home games. Do you have any concern of them, in Denver after being in these cushy home spots, destroying the opposition? We're going to get into this more in our NFC conference final, but is there any concern there at all with the Patriots now heading out on the road?
Absolutely. Absolutely. A ton of concern. And that's one of the main reasons I immediately wanted to run to the window and grab the Broncos. Because this is a team I've been wanting to fade. I faded them round 1, round 2 to my misfortune. I faded them late in the season to my misfortune. And I faded them on the road in Tampa Bay. I faded them, throughout the season. I've continued to fade these guys after buying them through the first 8 weeks, turn into a fade train. And that's part of the reason I fell into a hole here.
I have some interest in the Broncos. And even though I said 40.5 was too high, the longer I sat with it, if I think the Broncos have a chance, I think that leads to an under. And it's not because I think the Broncos have a chance because Stidham's going to put up points. And, TJ talking about possibly undervaluing Bo Nix. Do you think that there's cappers out there overvaluing Peyton? Do you think that we have him held too high, that he's capable of pulling something like this off?
Yeah, because I would credit a lot of that to Bo Nix because I feel like they've been so sloppy, especially early in games. I mean, they're always coming back. They're chasing 30 points in the fourth quarter against the Giants. They have to have a miraculous comeback. That's Bo Nix making those comebacks. It's not Gary Payton, Gary the Glove.
We have Troy on the Patriots -4 at -120. He's got the teaser with Patriots +1.5 and Rams +8.5. And thankfully, we have 5 more days before kickoff here because this game's going to take a lot of work. And for me, if I am, again, and I don't mean to say it again, but Wattenberg is everything to me because I don't think Forsyth's ankle is going to hold up. So if they're sitting there with a third string center, if that's the case, if Wattenberg is not brought in, I'll flip. I'll say, Patriots double result. And then what else do I want to do at that point? That's how important I think Wattenberg is. And I do not think I'm overvaluing Wattenberg. I think he's a monster. And he's getting paid like one. That is our AFC conference final breakdown. We move to the NFC. 6:30 p.m. Eastern, the NFC Championship. LA Rams 12-5, 5-4 on the road. Seattle Seahawks 14-3, 6-2 at home. Lumen Field, Seattle, Washington. I'm in a bit of a tricky spot. I got 500 on the Rams at 8-1 to win the conference, and 500 on them at 20-1 to win the Super Bowl. And for those that work with me and roll with me, they know that I send my futures into my local at the end of the season. And so my futures looked really strong there for a while. It turned out they didn't end up that strong. And I'm in the red. And so I need to cover myself here. So at this point, and I'm still working it out, at this point where I'm feeling, and I'm still going to, and I'll probably talk to you about it, Troy, and talk to a couple of colleagues about it just to make sure that but at this point, I think I'm going to put 2.5K on the Seahawks -150. I'm going to put a K on the Seahawks to win the Super Bowl and probably $500 on the Seahawks Patriots money line. Again, that will be about Wattenberg. But I need to cover. I need to make sure everything's paid for and everything covered. So that's where I'm sitting right now, which will still take some time to figure out. Let's get into the and I have bet the under. I have bet the first half under 23.5 at -110. I bet the full game under 47.5 at -110. Both available right now as we speak at Bet365. So Elmore says sitting pretty in. I'm not, because I messed up in week 5 by betting on the Buccaneers futures. And at week 8, I said to Troy, I know I've screwed this up. I should probably bet the Seahawks right now, at least just to win the Super Bowl. But you can't have 3 teams from the same conference. I mean, it's just at that point you're watering everything down. Maybe this was a time I should have. I knew that the Seahawks were the only problem with this whole Rams action pretty early, and not early enough. Maybe not till week 8 or 9. All right, so let's get into the line history here. We have this total at 47.5. Some books are hanging 47s. It opened up at 47. Moved up to 47.5. Right now, that's -115 to the under. And that was just 30 minutes ago. This was a -110 either way for all day. So we've moved 5 cents 30 minutes ago. From a point spread standpoint here, we have, you can pay for the Rams at +3. And you can pay for the Seahawks at -3. The 2.5 right now, or sorry, if you can pay for the 2.5, excuse me. Sorry, you can pay for the Seahawks at 2.5. -117, and you get a similar number if you want the Rams +3. And there hasn't been much movement. This opened up here with the Seahawks, -2.5, -121, another -2.5, -117. We get to the cash flow here. We have the 50% of the tickets on Seattle, 64% of the cash on them. 50% of tickets on the over and 79% of cash on the over. 43 Fahrenheit, mostly cloudy, 1 mile per hour winds. We have no rain. It's funny. A bunch of articles were like, and there could be rain in the forecast. We think there's going to be rain in the forecast. Every single place you look, online says it's a less than 5% chance of precipitation. Now, obviously that can change, but there's not precipitation on Monday either. There's not precipitation on Saturday. So it's just not a wet time here for Seattle. Let's go with the Rams. Passing offense ranked 1st, rushing offense 5th, red zone offense 7th, and third down offense is 21st. For whatever reason, the third down offense has struggled for the Rams this year. Everything else is just very strong. Now, their defense is profiled to be the best in the NFL. Now, you can question that after what we've seen over the last 6 or 7 weeks, although it did step up against the Browns. Pass defense ranked 1st, rush defense 2nd, red zone defense 6th. They allow touchdowns just 50.9% of the time. 10th ranked third down defense at 37.4. Pass rush ranked 4th. Special teams ranked 25th. So we have Seahawks, Rams, round 3. Week 11, Rams won 21-19. Jason Myers missed a 61-yard field goal on the last play. Darnold threw 4 picks. Week 16, Seahawks won a thriller. Rams were up by 16 with less than 10 minutes to go. Seattle scored 2 touchdowns. Got 2 different 2-point conversions to win the game. 3, really. I think it was 3 in the end. But so we all know that it's easier to be the hunter than the hunted, especially when you're talking about elite teams. It doesn't matter what sport. It's always easier to be the hunter than to have that big lead. There's a reason why the Rams have had big leads over the Seahawks, in my estimation. And I think it's because they were a better football team. And I still say were because we've watched the Seahawks get better and better and better, win the number 1 overall conference, have this very relaxing weeks leading up to this football game, not having to be in playoff mode, where the Rams have been stuck in playoff mode now for 6 or 7 weeks. So in that game where the Seahawks won 38-37, the offense played without Devontae Adams, and the defense played without Quentin Lake. We also, in game 2, maybe don't really understand how badly the Rams were dominating the Seahawks. Don't forget, the Rams kicked 2 field goals from the 10-yard line. Those could have easily been touchdowns. And you had Rashid Shaheed return a punt for a touchdown. So a lot of things worked out very well for the Seahawks. You have the Rams with the highest scoring offense in the league, 30.5 points per game. You have the Seahawks allowing the fewest points, 17.2. Rams coming off a 2017 overtime victory at the Bears. Noise cancel score was 24-22 Rams. Bears outgained the Rams 417 to 340. Stafford was 20 of 42 for 258 yards. He fumbled twice, was fortunate not to lose any of them. The sprained finger was an issue. I don't know. I do think that from an injury standpoint, the oblique that Darnold is dealing with does seem to be a real thing. It does seem to be an issue. We watch him wince. I don't see Stafford wincing that much. Kyron Williams ran 21 times for 87 yards, 2 touchdowns, caught 4 for 30. Offense was just 5 of 16 on third down, but went 2 of 3 in the red zone. The defense bent but didn't break, allowed 5.1 yards per play. That's a lot. The Bears went 9 of 19 on third down, 3 of 6 on fourth down. The pass rush was quiet. Didn't sack Caleb Williams, 4 quarterback hits. Kobe Durant had 2 interceptions. Cam Curl had 1. Emmanuel Forbes was hurt in the first half. We'll get a better idea of cornerback Emmanuel Forbes if he's good to go here. You go back to 2000, the dog, when divisional opponents clash in the playoffs, is 24-18-1 against the spread, but 17-26 straight up. The Rams lead the league in both rushing and passing DVOA, and they have now put together one of the finest offenses in DVOA history. Stafford has by far the best EPA per play among quarterbacks against playoff teams. That's a crucial part of it. That's why he's far and away against playoff teams. And the Rams are in playoff mode. They've played 15 of their 19 games this season against teams that won at least 8 games. Only one time this year did the Rams lose a game by more than 3 points. Now, you can also say the same thing about Seahawks. There's only one time this year they lost a game by more than 3 points. Let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks. Passing offense ranked 8th, rushing offense 1st. Red zone offense 21st at 55.4%. DVOA, Cameron. Third down offense 16th at 39.8%. Pass defense ranked 3rd, rush defense 3rd. Red zone defense 4th, third down defense 1st. Look, it's a spectacular group. Pass rush ranked 11th, special teams 7th. Seahawks coming off a dominant 41-6 victory at home over the 49ers. They've now won 11 straight home playoff games with fans. They did lose in the COVID times. A noise canceled score was 27-7 Seahawks. Rashid Shaheed returned the opening kickoff for a touchdown that was given out by our guy Salty Pete on NFL Pump Up. That was his only bet on the game. Defensive or special teams touchdown plus 260. Took him 12 seconds to cash it. It was the 4th kickoff return for a touchdown to open up a playoff game since 2000, the longest postseason kickoff return in Seahawks history. Darnold was 12 of 17 for just 124 yards and a touchdown, no interceptions. You know, he is a pro and a veteran. When he doesn't have to do too much, he doesn't. The question is, when he has to do too much, does he throw 4 interceptions like he did the first time he met the Rams? We have the oblique injury. He did not look good in the second half, despite the Seahawks stacking wins. From weeks 11 to 18, he had an 83.2 quarterback rating. 8 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He got sacked 17 times, and he was 20th among qualified quarterbacks in EPA per play. And it gets worse. Darnold is tied with Geno Smith for the highest turnover-worthy play rate when pressured among qualified quarterbacks since week 10. That's 7.6%. You never want to be tied with Geno Smith for anything. He has the 3rd most interceptions, 9 in the last 10 games. Kenneth Walker ran 19 times for 116 yards, 3 touchdowns while catching 3 passes for 29 yards. His importance is now going to be magnified with Zach Charbonnet suffering the torn ACL. Across the last 4 games, Walker's been an absolute beast of just a menace. He's been incredible. 499 scrimmage yards, 6 yards per carry. In a contract year, of course, helps. The 4th highest explosive rating in the league, the 3rd most breakaway runs, and he ranks 1st in juke rate. All of that will pose a problem for the Rams. Opponents average 126.5 rushing yards per game, 4.8 yards per carry against Rams in their final 8 regular season games. Seattle had success running the ball in both games against the Rams. 139 yards on 35 carries in week 11, 171 yards on 25 attempts in week 16. Now, LA did, flex their muscles against the Bears. The Bears ran 39 times. They put 160 yards, but it was good. Cooper Kupp led receivers with 5 catches for 60 yards. Jackson Smith and Jigba was held in check. 3 catches for 19 yards, 1 touchdown. Now, again, he didn't have to do too much, but he didn't. The offense put up 5.4 yards per play. They went 4 of 6 in the red zone. They didn't give the 49ers one red zone opportunity. Pass rush finished with 2 sacks, 5 quarterback hits. Ernest Jones had an interception. And left tackle Charles Cross hurt his foot in the third quarter, didn't return. The Seahawks were first in passing DVOA through 10 weeks. They were first. They were bottom 8 since week 11 on. And Jackson Smith and Jigba, who has been the number 1 receiver this year, has not looked very good of late. This offense has the second most giveaways from week 11 on. Take it away for us, Troy Torrence, the NFC Conference Final.
This is luckily we got at least one good game in the Conference Championship, and this is going to be a fantastic game. I mean, how many times do we see divisional opponents in the Conference Championship? I think one last year, and it was a massive spread, and the Eagles took care of business against the Commanders. I mean, a very similar spot with the Rams. How many times can we say it? Another game where they barely escaped with the win. In my opinion, I mean, they were 50-50 coming to this game here today. I mean, they posted a 42% success rate. The Bears 45. Rams 4.4 yards per play. The Bears 5.1. The Bears were better on third down. The Rams had 0 sacks despite a ton of pressure they put on Caleb Williams. I think that speaks volumes to Caleb Williams. The Bears had 4 sacks in that game. And really the only phase of the game the Rams won was turnovers, and they were lucky. I mean, they were lucky that DJ Moore gave up. I don't know if he had a concussion or something was wrong, but he gave up on the last play. The most important play he made, most important snap he took in his entire life. He gave up on that crossing route, and he should have cut it off flat, ran to the open field. He didn't do it, and it resulted in a pick. The Seahawks, I mean, they were on the opposite side of the spectrum because they dominated in every phase of the game. I mean, you look at success rate, number of drives in scoring range, yards per play, and the bookies just offered everybody a very fat number on the 49ers for everyone to ape into, and the bookies cleaned up in that game. The 49ers were hanging by a thread, though, let's be honest. I mean, that was a no contest type of matchup, and it's not going to be the same this weekend, especially if the first 2 games are any indicator of what this game might look like. So in the first game, I think you touched on it a little bit. You know, the noise cancel score 18-14 in that game, but it was played extremely close. Actually, the Seahawks won most categories: success rate, third down, yards per play. But the Rams won the most important categories in that game. That's why they won. Red zone, yards per carry, just up and down the board in the most important categories that determine football games. The Rams were better in that game. The line opened 2.5, closed 3, despite 72% of the bets, 77% of the cash coming on the Seahawks in that game. So the public got dusted. On the other end of the spectrum, you got Seattle in the second game. In Seattle, the noise cancel score is 40-29. In this game, the Rams dominated the box score. So both, we got offsetting box scores here, where the team who's winning the box score loses the football game. We'll see if that continues, but the common theme in both these matchups were turnovers. Sam Darnold and turnovers. And if you look at Sam Darnold versus the Rams, what he was put together, his passer rating, Stafford against the Seahawks. I'll start with Stafford against the Seahawks. His passer rating was 103. Versus everybody else, it was 106. Yards per attempt, 7.6. Versus everybody else, I mean, very similar there. Touchdown interception ratio, 5 touchdowns, no picks. Turnover-worthy play rate, 1.2% against the Seahawks. Versus everybody else, 3.6%. Here's the big red flag, in my opinion, if you're betting this, the Rams in the spot, the pressure rate. He faced a 42% pressure rate despite a very minimal blitz rate, 42%. Versus everybody else, 31%. That's a huge tick up. So the Seahawks were winning on the offensive line because we know the Seahawks aren't blitzing. They didn't blitz in the first 2 matchups either. So 42% with no blitz is very impressive. And then you flip it to Sam Darnold versus the Rams, where his passer rating was 62. versus everybody else a 106. Look at yards per touchdown to interception ratio, 2 touchdowns, 6 picks versus everyone else 24-8. Turnover worthy play rate 8% versus everybody else 2.7%. And his pressure rate, the Rams were not generating pressure more than other teams were, 36% for the Rams, everybody else 34%. I mean, given the weather is going to be moderate, I feel like we have a clear advantage, quarterback advantage with Stafford. And given the recent data points by both these teams, it's hard to make a case for the rushing offense in terms of who has the edge. Both teams are tied for second in the NFL in run D. The Rams have the best run blocking grade in the NFL, whereas the Seahawks are 15th. So I guess that would be the data point that I point to and say, hey, the Rams are going to have more success on the ground. Then you take Charbonnet out of the equation. You say, hey, the Rams are probably going to run the football more effectively than the Seahawks as well. You touched on it. I have a bunch of numbers here that I went back into the second time through this game, and I added a bunch of Darnold and how bad he's been towards the end of the season. You hit that on the head. So we have Darnold. We have this offensive regression in the second half of the season. I would give the offensive edge, a massive offensive edge, to the LA Rams, but I would actually give the defensive edge to the Seahawks because we know this Rams defense down the stretch does not look very good. I also believe the Seahawks defense has faced a much easier strength of schedule, especially when you're looking at non-common opponents. And I have the Colts on here because, the Rams played Daniel Jones, a healthy Daniel Jones, and the Colts early in the season. The Seahawks had the Colts with Rivers at quarterback in his first game. The Vikings, the Commanders, and the Steelers were on the Seahawks schedule, whereas the Rams had the Lions, the Eagles, and the Ravens. Now, I know the Ravens had Cooper Rush at quarterback, so you could discount that. But I look at the Seahawks strength of schedule, and I'm like, I feel like it's pretty weak. Then you look at the second matchup, the last matchup in Seattle, and the Rams should have took that game. I just find it really impressive that the Rams, even, both teams generated a ton of pressure last week. I think the Seahawks generated a 60% pressure rate with a 12% blitz rate against Brock Purdy and the San Francisco 49ers. The Rams generated 40% pressure rate on Caleb Williams, only a 14% blitz rate. I think this is a very closely priced game. It makes sense that this game is very closely priced. And I'm going to stick to my guns, and I'm backing the Rams. I think they have a massive quarterback advantage. If you consider everything else, the coaching advantage is a wash. The Seahawks have a defensive advantage, but I think the gap with the Rams' offensive advantage is bigger than the defensive advantage. And I think the Rams, they win this game. I got the Rams money line plus 130. I got the Rams plus 3 at minus 128. And I have the Rams, the teaser, the Rams plus 8.5. Patriots plus 1.5 at minus 115 too. So that's a minus 115 teaser because I'm teasing through the 0, which BOL gives you a more favorable price.
I love it. If I didn't have futures, I would be obviously betting this very differently. If the Rams win this game, it's celebration. TJ's right about the difficulty of the Rams' playoff road games and the constant travel. And it's a clear advantage for the Seahawks. But there is something to be said about being in playoff mode. I really believe there's something to be said about it. And I don't feel like the Seahawks have been or are. Obviously, all of the travel and the tough games the Rams have been in of late are going to help the Seahawks late in the game when the Rams may feel heavy legs. But we often see, and this is something that goes from sport to sport to sport, that team in playoff mode has an advantage. You see it we saw it in the college football playoffs too. You just see these teams that are just hanging around against easy competition. They have a tough time. So, and Cameron Sinnott says not just off 3 straight road games, off some road games where they battled and their entire fate came down to 1 and 2 plays. I kind of like that because they're not dealing with a ton of injuries. They actually came out pretty much unscathed. So I wish these games weren't all on the road, obviously, because that's tough. And if this was the regular season, I would be really looking towards the Seahawks, but it's not. Everything is on the line in this football game. Legacies are on the line. And because of that, I can get past what I wouldn't get past if this was a regular season game. The difference between a regular season game and the conference championship to get to the Super Bowl in California is, just, I think it's big, and it's big enough for me to get over it. Did you have a tough time getting over the fact that, they've been on the road playing tough, tight games?
Overtime game. Yeah, I definitely had that in consideration because there's a ton of metrics out there too with, teams coming off an overtime game in the playoffs and not having success. And I think it makes a ton of sense. But how many of those teams have this big of a quarterback advantage? And I do believe that the Rams have that advantage, especially considering the weather is going to be, from what I could tell, pretty favorable for offense. Even though I'm not saying that I expect a ton of offense in this game, I just think that the weather favors the Rams in the spot and the Rams offense.
I'm so excited about the spot. Aya says playoff mode. Seahawks needed to win out, including versus the Rams, to get the number 1 seed. Yeah, no, they had a very big game. A very big game on December 18th. They haven't played a close game since December 18th. I just think that may affect them. And again, the Seahawks were the hunter in those 2 games, and it's always dangerous. It's always dangerous when you get that big lead and the other team, and you're just, it's not that you take the foot off the gas, but it's a dangerous situation. We have Troy on the Rams money line at plus 130. On the Rams plus 3 at minus 128. I'm on the first half under 23.5, full game under 47.5. And I'm going to hedge. I just got to figure out the amount, and I'm just kind of working it all out here. Cameron Simmons says, why are the Rams not a favorite? That's my question. I don't know why that really would be a question, Cam. The number 1 seed in the playoffs, the Seahawks have had this perfect situation, rested, playing at home against what we assume is a tired Rams squad. This is exactly where the line I thought would open up. I thought there'd be 2.5, 3. I don't think it'll move much either. I think this will just sit here. I'm interested to see what happens with the total. But I think this will be, if you want the Rams plus 3, you can pay the juice for it. And if you want the Seahawks minus 2.5, you can pay the juice for it. Do you see this moving at all? Do you see this ending up at a flat 3?
No, I don't see it. I'd be concerned if I started to see that.
No, I think this is just going to be so much fun. We'll have a live stream right here for it. And another thing, I love the under. Now, I bet first half under, full game under in, the first 2 games these teams played. I went 3-1 on those. Even that 38-37 game, that was just 13-7 at the half. If these teams need to score, they can. I think that the high-scoring games and this Week 16 game plays into my corner here. Just to finish off this breakdown, Troy, what's keeping you off the total?
Just my I don't know what to expect from the Seahawks offense. I don't know what to expect. I also don't know what to expect from pace of play. So I haven't spent too much time with the total, to be honest.
I really like the unders here in this one. Really. And Truth Teller says it was a 3 for a while. Yeah, it was. It's never been a flat 3. It got close when this first moved to 3 for the Seahawks. They got to minus 106, and the Rams were plus 114. So that was the closest it got. But even 30 minutes after that, the Rams +3 went to -117, and an hour 2 minutes after that, the +3 went to -125. So there was about 4 hours there where it was an okay 3, but not a flat 3. AM says if he sees a 46.5, he's going to be on the over. I think that the first half under is the better look. Obviously, the first half under is what appeals to me more than anything in this game. That is our breakdowns for the conference finals. We will be discussing how we are going to attack the Super Bowl, whether there'll be a full Bankroll Blitz. We're not sure. Generally, we just, we get, as many of our cappers and colleagues to give us their breakdown, and we cut it up. We may be doing that here for this one. Official action in the AFC Championship. Troy's on the Patriots -4 at -120, and he's got a teaser with the Patriots +1.5 and the Rams +8.5. Then for the NFC Championship, I'm on the first half under 23.5 and the full game under 47.5. I would be on the Rams if I didn't have an 8-1 and a 20-1 in play. Troy's on the Rams money line at +130 and the Rams +3 at -128. And Nuke is saying, does the 12th man concern anyone? Honestly, when games are at this magnitude, when it's this important, when it's this big, I don't mind being, on the road and the underdog and all that. But yeah, would we prefer it to be in LA and not have to deal with the fans at Lumen Field? Sure. Does it concern you that the Rams are on the road, or this 37-year-old quarterback and being the enemy is not a bad role to play?
Well, I actually think I would say that I think it's built into the price, and maybe even too much built into the price. Looking at a 2.5 and not a pick, 1.5.
Truth Teller says Charbonnet out concerns me. 12 touchdowns. Gone. It's not Walker that they're giving the ball to at the goal line. They're going to have to here. Thank you guys so much for supporting us throughout this season. It means a ton to us. Thank you to our producer, Jose Bouquet, working tirelessly behind the scenes. Varunk, AM, Truth Teller, Vincent Hawkins. AM says, I could argue Seahawks are better with Kenneth Walker getting all the work. You can, but it's also riskier. This is a violent sport. Kind of nice having two running backs that can take care of the rock, and two excellent running backs at that. But I hear you. Vincent Hawkins, the Truth Teller, the Wager Detective, Dougie Wise, TJ. Thank you guys so much. A Nuke Worker always having our back. The Goracle, Cameron Sinnott, The Truth, AOD. Thank you guys all so much for supporting us through this season. Let's get that cash. Michael Johnson, thank you. Thank you to all of you guys. Troy, we are very, very fortunate to work with you. This is your sport, man. And you make us all so much better than we are. So thank you for all of your care and your angles and your thoughts and your hard work. And none of us would be having the seasons that we are if it wasn't for how strong you are capping. So I thank you. My bankroll thanks you. We all do. So thank you for all you've done for us this year. Put a bow on Bankroll Blitz for the 2025-26 season. We might be back for the Super Bowl. We'll be in talks about that, but let's put a bow on it. And thank you for all you've done for us, my man. Take us home.
Well, Jimmy, I'm not in the best of conditions right now, but I really do appreciate you. I appreciate everybody at Pub Sports Radio, Jose, who I don't call out enough at the end of these shows, Slaughter, the Don at the helm, making sure Pub Sports Radio continues on. Everybody in the chat. I mean, I could list out every name. I mean, it just means so much to me. And it would mean a lot more if we finish this damn season strong. So let's go out there this week one more time. Leche, los bookmakers.